welcome to Module 7. We're making great progress through the program, and it's probably about time that we just paused for a moment and did a bit of a recap of our journey so far. So we very much started with your recruitment process in Module 1. And in Module 1, we articulated the activities you're undertaking already and attributed a cost to those activities. We started our journey here because there's so much of your existing processes that you're going to be doing well. And rather than reinvent the wheel, we want to provide you with tips and techniques to build on your existing framework. Make this stuff work for you. From here, we then moved on to the cost of attrition in your business, and we brought that information together to explore strategies and the cost benefit of having retention strategies up your sleeve. We then looked at the role of various skills in your business, and we explored the difference between hard skills, soft skills, and power skills, specifically in the areas of resilience, emotional and social intelligence, and motivation. These sets of power skills very much being the dimensions, the behaviors that really do give the lens in which skills, qualifications, previous experience, and so on and so forth present themselves in the workplace. From here, we introduced you to a bit of a crash course in our flowprofiler assessments, which we were using as a case study assessment of how assessments could be used in behavioural-based recruitment as a way of bringing objectivity to the process. We then explored benchmarking. Now, benchmarking, we use the flowprofiler role reviewer to help us to create an internal benchmark, an internal standard in the areas of aptitude, attitude, and a person's likely behavioural approach on the job. Now, that gave us enough intelligence then to be able to write our behavioural-based job ads, where we focused our language on speaking directly to our future successful recruit. Now, obviously, that process went very well, and we ended up with a multitude of candidates, which then led us to techniques around shortlisting so that you can establish who it is that you're going to be interviewing. Then in Module 6, where you've just come from, we have been exploring the interviewer planner. Now, very much making the point that this is not a workshop in interview skills, but I do hope that you found the various hints and techniques useful and a way of perhaps integrating some of those in your existing processes. But the purpose primarily of the interview planner is to help you keep track of all the various candidates that you have, that you're working your way through the process, and really hone down on your questions before you get into the interview. Again, creating a consistent and objective process throughout the entire experience. So that now brings us to Module 7, and this is all about making that job offer. In Module 7 here, we're going to start with some tips around selecting your candidates based on best fit for the role. In Chapter 2, we will look at creating a compelling job offer. And then in Chapter 3, we'll look at ways in which you can go the extra mile. Now, this is going to be really useful if you find yourself in a beauty parade where you're competing with several organizations for the attention of a particular candidate. So we'll look at strategies to help you go that extra mile so you stand out. So, Chapter 1, selecting best fit for the role. At this stage, you really want to consider all the information you have gathered about the candidate. You'll likely want to compare scores between the candidates in the areas of aptitude, attitude, and approach. So if you did take on board that tip of scoring candidates relative to their fit in the areas of aptitude, attitude, and approach, this is where that information is going to be useful to you now. And if you have several candidates, it may also be the part of the process where you consider additional interviews. Now, that can be as formal or as informal as you choose. It's more about clarifying any outstanding points that you want to test in terms of your understanding of who and what the candidates have presented to you. Now, remember that we are working hard to make this process as objective as possible. So Please do be aware if you start hearing statements in your recruitment team or various influencers and stakeholders, such as "my gut tells me," or "I just like the look of them better," or "I really didn't like the font or the layout that they used on their job application or resume," or simply "I just actually prefer that candidate over the others." All of these statements indicate that the conversation has become subjective rather than objective. So bear in mind that this is an indication that decision makers' preferences, biases, personal values are actually coming in to the process rather than objectively looking for each candidate and their best fit for the role. It's also the part of the process where you'll likely complete any outstanding checks. So this might include any background checks, but the purpose primarily is to verify what the candidate is telling you is true. So for those of you who don't have a lot of checks in place, some of the things you will want to consider are identity checks. So this is about seeking original documents, passports, driver's license, whatever is required in your jurisdiction. You may also want to check in on their entitlement to work. So that may be passports, country of citizenship, residency statuses, work visas, so on and so forth. Look out for any employment gaps in the resume. Often people don't include periods of travel or sabbaticals, and there can be so much value in people having taken this time out of their lives to have those experiences. It certainly contributes to who they are in the future workplaces. But do take the moment to clarify any big gaps, particularly around 2, 5, 10 years. And you're absolutely within your rights to ask questions about what was happening during that space in time. Checking for criminal records is going to be something, particularly if people are working with secure information or vulnerable people such as children or the elderly and so on and so forth. And you may actually choose to verify any claims that they're making around their education qualifications or professional memberships, just to make sure that what they're presenting, what they're telling you is actually representative in reality. So once again, just a chance to consolidate your thinking here with worksheet 7.1. What I'd like you to do, please, is to just list the various roles within your organization and then list the activities, the points of verification that are appropriate or a requirement for that role. Once again, these types of activities form a basis, form a framework of consistency for your future recruitment campaign. So well worth just taking the time just to consolidate your thinking around this space. So I'll leave you with that for now. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in chapter 2, where we'll look at compelling job offers. Take care.